This is Susan Wilbanks with BlendedInsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hello, bright soul. Thank you for joining me on another podcast. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. I hope you got some time to yourself, maybe a little bit of time of reflection, and time to just sit and get clear on all of the things that 2020 brought you or took, because we did a lot of releasing in 2020, and thinking about things you want to bring in this year. Now, for me personally, I look at my new year as my birth month because that's when my soul and my body is going into another year. So I don't personally get too caught up in the calendar new year. It's fun to participate in the collective, and I like how the actual calendar year changes, so that's nice. And there are a lot of things that close out at the end of the year, so we close out the tax season and get ready to do our taxes and all those other kind of things. So I'm not overlooking that, but just, when people make a huge deal over just flipping over that one day to the new year, that's not really my thing, but I do really like how the collective kind of comes together, puts a close on things, and turns a new page. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Many of you have probably done several of the meditations and rituals and things that we can participate in to release the old and bring in the new. So for today, I just wanted to kind of go over some things that I personally was doing just to close out last year and bring in the new year. And this is something I revisit on my birth month. But if you've already done it, this is just a really good way of cementing those ideas and just getting more clarity. And also I'll be running energy healing to help us smooth things out and light that path. So the first thing that I would just encourage you to do is look at what you learned over the past year. And it doesn't have to be just all of 2020, but this is a good thing to do really at any time. So when I feel like I'm getting full or I just feel like I need to reset, this is something that I'll do is I just kind of look at what have I learned spiritually? What did I learn emotionally, intellectually? What did I learn physically? And then shift it to gratitude. What are you grateful for? What are the things that you're really grateful for that have happened over the past year that maybe you couldn't see it at the time, but it ended up being a blessing? There's always little shifts that we can make. Now, I've shared in previous podcasts that I'm not one to journal and write things down. Typically, that just really isn't me. But when it comes to things like this, I do write it down because when you write it down, you ground the energy and you get it out of your chakras. So one of the things that I did was I wrote down all of the things that I really want to leave behind in 2020. And so I made a list of all the things that I don't want to take with me into 2021. And then I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I have a fire pit outside that I was able to burn that safely. So after I did that, I cut the cords to it and burned it. So that's something you can do. Or you can do it, any other way, just to kind of release it. It's a symbolic. And also writing it down does actually help you to ground it and get it out of your chakras. So the other thing I did was I actually wrote down what I learned spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, and physically. And then I went through and I just spent some time thinking of all the things I'm grateful for, all the things that 2020 brought into my life. And my list was really long. I mean, there's so many things to be grateful for always. And then I kind of looked forward, where am I today and what would I like to bring in over the next year? And again, I'll revisit this on my birthday. The other thing that Anne Ortley always encourages, she's an astrologer that I follow, is picking a word for the year. What's the word? And for me, the word is more about the energy. So is there a certain energy you want to bring in or that you want to focus on, a focal point for 2021? For me, I'm really focused on ease, the word ease. Just having a sense of lightness to things. So that's kind of where my intention is centered around. There's a couple other things that I'm focusing on and owning in and narrowing in on. But that's something you can do. And then, resolutions. Maybe you are a person that does those, maybe not. But I do kind of focus, I don't use it as a resolution necessarily, but I kind of focus on what are the things that I want to bring in? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to manifest? What do I want to create? And writing it down does help to ground the energy. And I've shared in previous podcasts that I like to sit down every day and write my desires out. I usually pick 10 and I write them in present tense. So, for example, let's say you want to weigh a certain weight. So you would say, I weigh whatever the weight is. So I weigh 115 pounds. If I weighed 115 pounds, I don't know. I think I'd be in trouble. I'm fairly tall, so I don't think I've weighed 115 pounds since I was probably 6. I don't know. But you know what I mean. You get the point. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing, I know a lot of people do vision boards, and I've done vision boards before, and I have other ways of achieving the same result. But if you are a vision board person, that really helps. And just try to make the most of it and then propel yourself forward. And that's what I like about writing down goals and having a vision, because when we have a vision, especially if it's a higher vision than our own needs, like serving people, because I always look at how can I best serve? How can I help others? What can I bring in? What do people need from me? I mean, that's always part of my goals and my vision. That pulls me forward and it propels me and it gives me a target and a focus and somewhere to put my energy. And to me, that's living, But I also want to stay balanced and staying in the present moment. And what I mean by that is sometimes we get like an all or nothing type of approach. So you'll often see people after the new year, they splurged a lot over the holidays, and then all of a sudden the new year comes and they're on some crazy fast, or they're used to eating 3,000 calories a day, and now they're going to eat 1,200 calories a day, and it's not sustainable. So what happens is they maybe can do it for a little while, and then they binge, and then they gain it back, and then their metabolism is jacked, and, and it's this cycle. And so I don't want to be extreme about it. For me, it's more about these are the things that I would like to accomplish. Now, what's one thing I can do today to propel me forward or to help me reach that goal and that objective? And then every day as you revisit it, it just keeps it in the forefront of your mind. Like, this is what I need to stay focused on. That helps me to eliminate distractions. It helps me to keep my eye on the prize. At the same time, I'm today in everyday reality, and I have a very balanced and practical approach. I hope that makes sense. So let's go into a healing. And we'll just go into a healing to flood your ideas and your manifestations and the things that you want to bring in. Just flood them with beautiful golden light. And we'll also do some cord cutting to release those things that you want to leave behind and let go of. And we'll just help to bring this in together. So you can just uncross your arms and legs and focus on your breathing. I'll start out with cord cutting, and then I'll just flood you with beautiful healing energy. And you can just think about what you want to bring in and just see it happening. See it coming into your awareness, into your experience. See it manifesting. Visualize it in your mind's eye. Grounding you and running shields. Okay, and so it is. I want to wish you all a beautiful week. Thank you so much for taking the time to share my work and leave me reviews and feedback. I so appreciate it. And here we are. We're walking into the next year together, and I just appreciate you showing up. So that's all I have, and I hope you also have a beautiful day. Take care. Bye-bye.